One of the things that you can never forget as a dreamer is the fact that you always have the power to make a decision. Regardless of what your circumstance may be right now, regardless of what you may not have, regardless of what you do have, regardless of what you are experiencing in your life, you always have the power to make decisions. Now, if we're being honest, we also have to recognize that some decisions are harder than others. And one of the biggest things that I see within dreamers, especially those that I train and work with, is this fear of making hard decisions. And the reason why these decisions are so hard is because most of us can easily be led by our emotions when making decision rather than being led from a place of principle. Now, a hard decision looks different for everybody in the sense of what is hard for one person may be easy to somebody else. What is easy for one person is difficult for somebody else. I like to say it in the sense of like we all have faith that can move mountains, but to some of us, somebody else's mountain looks like a pebble, and the same thing vice versa. And so we first have to even acknowledge that, hey, some situations are hard. Some decisions we got to make are hard. Like, what do you do when you have to prioritize family and you know God has called you to build something great? And now you're in this tension of, okay, I know my family is supposed to come first, but I also know God's called me to this thing and I'm so close to it. That can be a hard decision. Another hard decision may be you may need to close the business and restart it in another place. You may like there's a whole lot of hard decisions that we experience. And so if we are going to actually make hard decisions, the first step is just actually acknowledging this is hard. Now, again, for many of us, it's some of us were easily able to identify a hard decision. And I remember just for me, from in terms of my background, when I was playing basketball, it was a hard decision to choose to retire in 2021. It was hard. I mean, I had put 20 plus years of my life into the game of basketball, and I'd done it well. I had achieved everything there is to achieve. But even then, I was caught in this space. I was caught in a situation where, I was at that point in time, me and my wife were dating. So she's my wife now, but we were dating at that point. I was taking on more responsibility at the church in terms of leadership. And then obviously I was still training and coaching people. And what ended up happening was the same thing that I used to love with all my heart, which was basketball, now seemed to always be in the way. And one of the things that I was very passionate about and really focused on was allowing my talent and my ability with basketball provide for my family. I've always wanted to be successful. And at the time, I thought basketball was the way. But I started noticing this shift within myself that, as I said, basketball is starting to get in the way of the things I genuinely care about. And not like, it wasn't like this woozy woozy feeling. It was just like, no, I should care about this woman that I want to marry first. I should care about my role in leadership at church. I should care about this business that I'm building. And it seems as though the thing that I once loved is just getting in the way. And so I had to look myself in the mirror and really acknowledge, as I said, this is a hard decision. But I had to make the decision anyway, because oftentimes we can make the mistake of avoiding hard decisions and somehow having this false expectation that it's just going to figure it out by itself. We can fall into this false reality that somebody else can make the hard decision for us. And many of us, especially dreamers who are ambitious, like we're headed into foreign territory. We're headed into the uncertain. And that's just what God has called us to. But we also have to make sure we don't forget the fact, as I said in the very beginning, we have the power to make decisions. And so we not only have to acknowledge this is hard, we then need to, watch this, establish standards. We have to establish a standard that actually is going to help us not avoid the hard decisions we have to make, but actually confront them. There's an amazing axiom that I love, just especially when it comes to making decisions and change and things like that. And it's simply this: you can't change what you don't confront. I'm going to say it again. You can't change what you don't confront. And that is so powerful, especially for those of us, as I mentioned, who we're in ministry spaces, we're in business spaces, and we know that we're called to do great things. But we also know that there's a lot of changes that need to be made. There's deals that need to be made. There's things that need to happen. And it's only going to happen as soon as we have the courage to confront it. So that way we can see change. And all of the way in which we do all of this is by simply setting a standard. Now, for the believer, that simply means my standard is based on the word of God. And for me, this is where, my family juxtaposed with any responsibility that I have, my family's always going to come first. And yes, that may feel very inconvenient. That can feel annoying at times. But if I'm doing what the word says, I'll be with God always. And I can tell you, I'm walking through this season right now where I have so much opportunity in front of me in business. So many things that we could really be doing. We have a beta for an app out. We have, our new program coming up and all the things. We have the summit coming up. All amazing things that get me so excited because we're going to walk in purpose and help people. And we're going to help people get going and all the things I love to do. But at the same time, I have an 11-month-year-old at home and my wife works and somebody has to take care of the baby while we're home. And so what I had to do by standard, make a hard decision to say, okay, I'm going to basically start my day at 4. I'm going to be able to basically take Layla, name of my daughter, by 8 a.m., I should say, watch her from basically 8 a.m. till about call it 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whenever my wife gets off work. And then I'll maybe be able to crank out 2 more hours of work. And it is hard for me. I don't know if any of you ever experience things that you really know you want to get to, things that if you just give me 10 minutes, I'll knock it out, but you just can't. And that is literally how I felt for a while. But it was a hard decision. But because of the standard I had set for myself, in the sense of I'm going to be a man that honors the standard of the Bible. And if the Bible tells me that my marriage, my family is my first ministry before any work, before any sermon, before any training or workshop, if the Bible says that's my first ministry, my decisions need to be aligned. And for many of us, I'm just giving you my example, that we can end up making decisions that are more emotional, meaning we're making decisions based on how we feel. And I think we all know and have experience and have a story for when we actually lost a lot more because we made decisions based on our emotions rather than our standard. And so, one of the things that I want to challenge you with as you listen is really evaluate, really audit your decisions and ask yourself, am I making decisions from a place of emotion or from a place of principle? Am I making decisions based on how I feel, or am I making decisions based on what's right, based on what's wise, not just what feels good? Because when you make decisions that are right, when you make principled decisions, you're not only going to build, but you're going to build something that lasts. And you will find fulfillment. Hear me, hear me, hear me. I told you that schedule that I have. I feel so fulfilled knowing that I'm getting more done in the call it 6 hours of work in the extremes of the day. And I spend time with my daughter rather than me slaving and grinding through the entire day. But then my daughter grows up not really knowing about her father. Now, again, you all know it's one thing to be present, it's another thing to actually just be a body. And I want to be present. I want to be a present father. And so that's part of what I'm navigating, but I'm learning from it in the lens of, hey, I need to make decisions more than ever based on principle, based on the standard I've set for my life. There's no negotiating the standard. There is no, trying to convince myself that, oh, this one time makes sense. No, if we're going to be successful, okay, if we're going to be successful, and success meaning that we are aligned with our calling and we're building what God has called us to build, I am going to make decisions that are based on the standard I've set for my life. And you know that many of us will try to convince ourselves that whatever we feel like doing is a part of the standard. Do not fall for that trap. Do what is wise. Operate in wisdom. Live based on a standard. And I said all this to say this. You will find that when you start making decisions from a place of standard, the harder the decisions get, the less you allow your emotions to affect you. So you can deal with a really hard situation, whether it's professionally or personally. But because you've made the decision to consistently live your life at a standard, your decisions will always be principled, where you will be consistent in season and out of season. And that will make you predictable. And anybody that is predictable can be trusted. Anyone that is unpredictable is not reliable at all. And if you're going to build your dream, you need to be predictable and you need to have a standard because, again, God has called each and every one of us out beyond the boat. He's called us to walk on the water and focus on Him and Him alone. And the way in which we're going to do that is by setting the standard for the way in which we make decisions. And we're going to follow that no matter how hard the situation is, no matter how confusing the season may be, no matter how uncertain the circumstance may present itself. We're always going to make decisions based on principle so we can be consistent and our patient endurance will grow, which means our character will be developed. And that means we will be in position to receive every opportunity that is before us. So that's my challenge to you, to think about and audit yourself. Am I making decisions from a place of emotion, Or am I making decisions from a place of standard? That's my challenge to you. Listen to me. I pray that you got some value out of this video, and I simply have one request of you. The request is simply this: hit the like button on this video. What does this do? That basically just puts our videos, Craft Your Dreams videos, in people's feed so that way more people can be helped just like you. We're here. We're called to train dreamers to rise above their fears and achieve their biggest goal. I would truly appreciate it. I also want to extend you an invite. We're having our first free webinar that has to do with helping you go from grinding to actually building effectively. This is a free webinar. You can sign up using the link below, where we're going to spend 90 minutes basically locking in on how to get you executing on what you know is the right thing to do. So you can sign up. I would love to meet you. I'd love to help you and help you craft your dream. I appreciate you. Take care.